Welcome to another deep dive with us. This time, we are going to crack open a book that's really more like a call to action, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Why Raise a Cinderella When You Can Raise an Esther
Oh, I love that.
by Adaeze Gideon and Judith Rhodes-Vivour.
Interesting.
Just, the title alone got me thinking, like, are we really setting girls up for, the classic happily ever after?
Right.
Or for something a lot more powerful?
It really makes you question that, like, classic fairy tale narrative,
Yeah.
doesn't it? And I think that's what the authors are doing here with these two figures.
Yeah.
Cinderella and Esther.
Yeah.
And they're using them as lenses to kind of look at how we view and how we raise young women.
So Cinderella versus Esther.
Yeah.
The book kind of breaks it down letter by letter. And it's interesting because it shows how even Cinderella's like seemingly good traits.
Right.
Like she's charming, she's hardworking, she's nurturing.
Yeah.
But they can actually reinforce this model of womanhood where she's defined by her circumstances and always kind of waiting to be rescued.
It's really fascinating how they flip the script on those, like, classic fairy tale tropes.
Yeah.
You know, like Cinderella's industriousness, for instance, is really only shown in the context of, like, domestic chores,
Right.
which plays right into those traditional gender roles.
And then you have Esther, who's also beautiful, but she's also strategic, wise,
Yes.
courageous,
Yes.
a true heroine. She risks her life to save her people.
Absolutely.
And she's taking charge. She's using her position to make things happen.
Yeah. What I find so interesting is that the book doesn't shy away from, like, Cinderella's positive qualities.
Right.
It's not like they're saying she's a bad person.
Right.
It acknowledges them, but then asks, is this really the ideal that we want for our daughters?
Yeah.
You know, like, is it enough to be charming and hardworking if you're stuck waiting for somebody else to come and change your fate?
It really makes you think about those messages we're sending even subtly.
Yes.
And I love that this book doesn't just stop at, like, the critique. It actually offers this blueprint for raising an Esther,
Yes.
someone who is empowered, purpose-driven, and ready to lead.
And that's where that chapter on the palace comes in.
Ooh.
And now, before anyone starts picturing, like, tiaras and ball gowns,
Right.
this is about something much deeper.
So the book uses palace as this metaphor for any environment where a girl can grow and thrive.
Right.
So it could be her home, her school, your community.
Exactly.
And it really emphasizes the importance of creating that environment where she feels safe,
Yeah.
loved, and valued.
It's not about giving her a life of luxury,
Right.
but a life where she has all the tools and the support to really develop her full potential.
Yes. And they talk about raising a girl with a kingdom mindset,
Oh, I love that.
which goes way beyond just, good manners.
Absolutely.
So kingdom mindset, I love that.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, they break down into several key areas.
Yeah.
And it starts with instilling in her this deep sense of self-worth, really helping her understand that her value isn't tied to her appearance,
Right.
accomplishments, or anyone else's approval.
So it's about building that inner confidence.
Yes.
That unshakable sense of identity.
Absolutely. And from there, it's about nurturing her spiritual grounding,
Okay.
helping her develop that strong moral compass and a connection to something bigger than herself.
And it's not just about faith, though, right?
Right.
They also talk about practical skills,
Yes.
like decision-making, critical thinking, being able to handle challenges effectively.
Right. It's about equipping her to actually navigate the complexities of life, not shielding her from them.
And then there's this whole chapter on the king,
Oh, yes.
which I have to admit I was a little hesitant about at first.
Really?
Sounded a bit too fairy tale-ish for me.
I thought so too at first.
But it's not actually about finding Prince Charming at all.
No, not at all.
It's about raising girls to recognize true leadership qualities, and not just in romantic partners, but in mentors, authority figures, anyone they might encounter.
Exactly. It's about helping them develop discernment.
Yeah.
You know, understand that true kings, whether it's in a family, a business, or a nation, should embody qualities like protection, provision, and godly leadership.
So it's about setting a high standard,
Yeah.
teaching girls to recognize and value those qualities in everyone they meet.
And not settling for anything less.
I love how they tie this back to Esther's story.
Yeah.
Because she was a queen, but she didn't just sit back and wait for the king to act.
Right.
She took a huge risk by approaching him uninvited, knowing that it could have cost her life.
It's such a powerful example of courage and strategic action.
Yes.
She understood the power dynamics at play and used her position wisely to save her people.
Exactly.
She was a queen, yes,
Yeah.
but also a leader in her own right.
Yes.
And that is powerful. It's this idea that, true leadership often involves like taking risks,
Yeah.
speaking truth to power, even when it's uncomfortable.
Right. And it's not just about those outward actions. They emphasize that raising an Esther starts with cultivating that like kingdom mindset internally.
Yes.
They even break down her name letter by letter to illustrate this. This book really is a call to action for all of us.
I think so.
Whether you're a parent, a mentor, an educator, anyone who has a hand in shaping the next generation.
It challenges us to kind of rethink our assumptions.
Yeah.
To be more intentional about the messages we send to young women and to empower them to become the Esthers of our time.
So if you're listening to this and you're intrigued by this idea of raising an Esther, I highly recommend you check out the book.
Absolutely.
It's called Why Raise a Cinderella When You Can Raise an Esther.
It's a good one.
It's by Adaeze Gideon and Judith Rhodes-Vivour.
I love that title.
You can find a link to it in the description below.
Yes, definitely check it out.
And if you're looking for more engaging book reviews and summaries that dive deep into these kinds of thought-provoking topics, be sure to subscribe to Audiobook Quiver on YouTube.
Absolutely.
We're passionate about sharing books that will ignite your imagination, expand your perspectives, and empower you to live a more purposeful life.
That's what we're all about.
Until next time, keep on diving.